Hi, my name is Nancy Shane, and I am the creator of the program as well as the executive director of the Amazing Futures Foundation. This over here, our camera woman, is Michelle Schwelling, and she assists in a lot of the things that we do, as well as she is going to be the camp director for a couple of the weeks. And I will be the teacher and or director for several of the weeks as well. For the fun of it, even though we don't have a large crowd, I'm just curious, how many people are signed up for the very first week in June? Okay, we have a couple. Notice who's raising your hand so that you can make some friends right there. That's at, come on in, join the party. And by the way, hi everyone who's watching in video. Sorry to put it naked in person. Yet I'm glad that you're watching it in order to gain the information. Okay, week 2, which is I think like the second week in July at Clarksville. We got, oh look at all you guys. Okay, and our week 3, which is the week after that at Clarksville. We got a few people. That's like mid-July.
Mine starts on the 28th of July, is that?
I think that's week 4.
Oh.
Okay. So then now we'll get to week 4, which is like last week in July, and then week 5. Okay, great. That's like the first week in August, and then week 6, which is in the second week in August. Okay, again, and look around to people that are raising their hands, so that way you already can start networking and seeing some familiar faces. This year we're doing something a bit different than we've done before. We have been requested for the past several years to have it longer than 1 week. So the parents have asked for it, the kids have asked for it, and we have more than enough information to share. And sometimes we're rushing through some of the activities. So between all of that, we decided, okay, we try it. So we're having a B session and an A session, and just to confuse you, we're starting with B. Just to note that there's neither one is more important, or first or second. And we had it eliminated by weeks B and by weeks A, so the people that want to do 2 weeks, they know that they need 1 B and 1 A. And they can do any B and any A, and they'll know that their kids will be getting a lot of wonderful stuff. And there will be some that will be quite similar. It'll be the beginning stuff that you can't hear it enough, and it gets everybody on the same page. So it will be things like what's Kid Empowerment all about, what's Smashing Hands all about, what's leadership all about, all those introductory kind of things. And then from there, where we part company is that each session will look very similar and feel very similar, but they will have different ants and ant smashers. All right, I want to ask it this way. If you know what ANT stands for, raise your hand. Okay, so I'm going to share with you. ANT stands for automatic negative thoughts, which are just bad thoughts that get in your way. Now, we've changed it somewhat recently to the N being non-supportive, automatic non-supportive thoughts. Because we have this belief, and it's how the program is set up all along, is that we're helping kids to combat thoughts that don't work for them. And therefore, they're not negative thoughts, they're not supportive. They're not taking good care of them. And we would much prefer them to have supportive thoughts that move them in a positive direction. So we have a little visual that we do to help them to understand what the word non-supportive means. So we're veering away from the mainstream topic. Hi, come on in and grab a chair. There's several to be had. This open as a walkway, so you can walk through and grab whatever chair you want. You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
It was automatic negative thoughts now, and you guys are really doing more automatic
non-supportive.
Non-supportive.
Thoughts. And it's the same curriculum, it's the same everything, but what we realized, it wasn't really about negative, and I find negative to be too negative. It really is non-supportive. So we kind of use it interchangeably, but that is the direction we're moving. Okay. So they will be, each group, A and B, will be getting different, some of them similar, like one group might get the Fear Ant, and the Ant Smasher is called Ground It, and the other group will get the Nervous Ant, and the Ant Smasher Energize It. So if your kids go into both, that's great, because then they get a whole bunch of ants and ant smashers. If your kid goes to one week, that's great, because they're gonna get a whole nice toolkit right there that can be self-contained as well.
How do you know whether your week is A or B?
It says it on the website, and I think it also says it when your confirmation, when you pick that session, week 1, week 2, it either says an A or a B.
But you don't necessarily have to have A before B? Okay.
Nope, that's why we started with B. So that way there's no confusion about that. I know people that are doing the first week, which is B, and the last week, which is A. I know some that, okay, we're gonna try one, and if the kids like it and we like it, then we'll pick another one during the summer. So know that the weeks that are near the end do have availability at this time, so it doesn't have to be back-to-back. Some parents think that it's really cool to do it and then give them a break, not a break, but have them do other things, and then it really kind of sets in, and then they can have another week, and then it really reinforces it, yet they have different topics. And the same with leadership. The topics are similar, yet they are different. And the activities and the games will be different, but have the same flavor as well. So a day in a life, and by the way, I'm totally going out of order. But to me, this is the good stuff. This is the part that you don't hear. Typically, this is what makes this program special, is what we do. And all this other neat stuff, you'll get an email, and you can read it, and it's probably going to be very similar to what you hear all the other camps anyway. So I hopefully will get to it, because it's nice to hear it as well as read it. Yet, just for the fun of it, I started with Monday. So, anyway, okay, day in a life. So at a high level, the way the day's going to go is, and this is something we've adjusted also, we're doing a little differently this year, is that we're going to have an hour and a half of stuff. In the past, we did 50 minutes, 10-minute break, 50 minutes, 10-minute break. And the kids were like, oh wow, we just got started here, you were taking a break already? So we realized that it was a little too short. And when we take breaks, this had a tendency to be more like 20 minutes than 10. Because by the time people go to the bathroom and get drinks and have a snack and they want to play, it's a lot to cram into 10 minutes. It's also a lot to cram into 20, but we're going to do it. So that's what they do. So we're going to do more like 80 minutes, and then a 20-minute break, 80 minutes, and then we have like an hour for lunch, but that's broken up into 30 minutes of eating and 30 minutes of playing. And then we go back to that same 80 minutes of stuff, 20 minutes break, 80 minutes of stuff. Note that 80 minutes of stuff, every so many minutes they're going to be doing something different. So it might be that they get a 5-minute Smashing Ants cartoon movie. And then we might chat about it for a few minutes. And then we're going to do this activity that supports what we did. And then we might do another activity that introduces a leadership topic. And then we talk about that. And then they learn a few things through discovery, experiential. And then we'll do another activity. It might even be the same one, that now they can apply what they've learned and do it totally differently. Or it might be a different activity that gives them practice of what they learned. Hi there, come on in. Okay, so I kind of sort of described the sessions and kind of a day in the life. So Do you guys feel comfortable with that picture, or does anyone have any questions about that, or would like me to elaborate on that? You're good? Everyone else good?
Is the second half of lunch, is it just like free play outside?
So glad you brought that up. Yes. If the weather is nice and it's not too disgusting, we do go outside. So please put sunscreen on your kids. Even for that 20-minute break, 10 of it, we might go outside, give the kids some fresh air. That's our goal, to often want to give them fresh air. Actually, at least one of the activities is an outside activity. So it's not like we live outside, so for people that have concerns about their kids, one, we go for shade, that there will be shaded areas, and two, that we don't live outside, it's not an outside. This is not a, the typical kickball and volleyball, whatever, camp. Okay? It's not summer school, but it's unique. That's all I can say. Okay. Any other questions about the day in the life, the schedule, that kind of thing? Okay, for those of you that came late, not to worry, we're filming it, we're going to put it on YouTube, and you'll be able to catch the beginning. You just want to watch it at the end, that's all. Okay, what else? I have a little trivia-ish kind of question for you guys. What percentage of kids do you think that when they start kindergarten have a high, comfortable, good, whatever, self-esteem? I'll call out a couple of numbers, and you guys can raise your hands to kind of vote what you think it is, okay? So let's say 5%, 20%, 50%, 80%, 95%, 100? Okay, for those that raised their hand with 85%, you're correct. Okay, same kids, just graduated high school, 12th grade. What percentage of those same kids are walking out those doors with high self-esteem? 5%? 10%? What did I say? 25? 50? What did I say last time? Is that 85? 95? 100? Okay, those of you that raised your hand, I saw my peripheral vision, you raised your hand at 5? You got it. Pretty sad, huh? Scary too, there are future leaders. And they're not even comfortable leading themselves. And that's what this program is all about. It's about learning how to lead ourselves in empowerment, smashing in, self-taught, as well as now that we're feeling more comfortable with ourselves. Not all about ourselves, but just really enabling ourselves to feel comfortable with us the way we are, each one of us uniquely. Learning how to now lead and interact and be the kind of leader that other people want to follow. Because there's a lot of natural leaders out there. I was one of them. Other people didn't want to follow. Little, sharp and a little bossy, a little this, a little that, right? That natural leaders have a kind of tendency to be that way. So, but nobody teaches you how to hone that really wonderful goodness and lead in a way that, other people want to follow you. And there's a lot of quiet people. I saw a lot of people in the corporate world that were on the shy-ish, quiet-ish side that were phenomenal leaders. Okay, so we're going to try to help them with a lot of activities and a lot of things with Smashing Hands as well as leadership for them to have a lot of practice at being able to lead, even if you're not a big fan of being super outgoing or whatever. Okay? So it works for both ends. Alrighty. Any questions on that? So what do we mean by kid empowerment? What we mean is, and we talk to the kids in terms of kid power. that they have the power inside of them. And when we do this very experiential, so they're like, whoa, this is really cool. But they learn about how they have the power inside of them to, and I'm gonna put it in my terms now, smash hands, make choices, and do those kinds of things, learn life skills, so that they can, one, be more powerful than those ants. So as those negative thoughts are coming up, they're gonna have the power to outlive, outsmart, out whatever those ants, as well as they also have this wonderful experiential activity, which I'm sure they'll all come home, because we do this with everybody, talking about, which is our in-out marshmallow game, which is what you put in is what you get out. And that is with life. The more you put in, the more you get out. And we have a wonderful discussion and topic all around that as well, and that's part of kid empowerment too. What else can I tell you? The other thing is that each kid learns and grows and grasps things at their own level. And it's nice when we as parents think about it as seed planting. That we supply our children with a lot of wonderful things. And then we step back a bit and watch it grow. If we're all over it and we're in their face and we're really assertive, aggressive, or really hounding a topic or whatever, you might as well just not even bother to plant the seed. You're digging it up before it's even had a chance to grow. So some people see wonderful changes immediately, and there are kids that it takes them a little while before they see it. But it's there, and they have it when they need it. We talk to them about choices. They can choose to use this ant smasher or not. We give them a ton of them, so they can pick which one or ones that are most comfortable for them. And it's all about choices, and they can make their life we talked to them today. How many of you want I'll ask you guys, how many of you would like your life to be more enjoyable, more fun? How many of you would like your life to be easier? How many of you would like to feel more comfortable with yourself? Great. If you're going to our class, you're in the right place. Unfortunately, you're not. But hopefully you'll learn a lot from your kids anyway. Because it really would be cool if you can get your kids to teach you what they're learning, because that's a great way to learn. And we talk to the kids about that too. Okay? And that's what this program really is about. That by learning all of this and choosing to use it, that's what you can create for yourself. Because I always said with my kids, if you turn gotta-dos into wanna-dos, did I say that right? Yes. Gotta-dos into wanna-dos, life gets fun. Right? And that's kind of what it's about also. Okay, what else can I tell you? I think I'm going to go to the logistics part now. And then if we have time, I'll go back to, I even have some parenting tips. How to support your child at home with ants. Ooh, is that intriguing to anyone? Did I do that? Okay, I'll hold up for a minute then. Okay, so I think I'll now jump to logistics. On the form, there is a place that says extended care. We don't offer extended care. So why is it on the form, right? It's on the form because at some of our locations, they have extended care. So the 2 of the 3 weeks at St. John's Parish Day School, they offer extended care. So if you print out the form and you mail it to them with a check, then you get extended care. It's good for us to know that, so we make sure your kid, that we're not waiting for that child to get picked up, and that we take them and walk them over to extended care. So that's why we have it on the form. The Clarksville Middle, I think weeks 2, our second and third week, which is like the second and third week in July. And you know how it's kind of half weeks, so you know what I mean. I think there might be extended care. I just recently realized that they don't have it our first week, which was really disappointing because last year we did. So, but then you have to go to Parks and Recs, find, if you do a find on their location, You can see if there's anything that's being offered that has extended care. And then again, then on our form, we had checks, so we make sure that we walk. Hi,
Hi.
and you made it?
Yes.
Were you at the other building?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so glad you could make it. Okay. The good news is that we're filming this, so you can go to YouTube and watch it. Hi, come on in. I just explained to the people that just got here that we are filming this, so whatever you missed, you will be able to watch. Okay, so that's the reason why extended care is on the form. Make sense? Just to let us know where to take your child, not so that that's your way of implying that, oh yeah, I can have some of that. Okay? All right. The forms, and I think I had them on the table. We have to have them in order for your child to attend. So if you brought it with you, you can, if you want, just leave it at the table as you walk out. And I put blank ones there. Now, if you signed up through Parks and Recs, how many people signed up through Parks and Recs? Okay. We only need one form from you right now, and that's our waiver form. Parks and Recs will give you, I don't know if I think they
mail it out.
They mail it out? Okay, so they snail mail it, so you should get it in the mail eventually. Do they typically do it like 1 week before or something like
Yeah.
that?
1 to 2 weeks before.
Yeah, they just do it a little bit before, so if you haven't gotten it yet, not to worry. But if you're concerned, you can call them.
For this year, for camps that we've done so far, they emailed us the form.
Really?
So I don't know if it's.
Okay, so they might have switched to email.
During this week. So
Okay.
We will get it, I don't know.
I didn't talk to Adam about it, so I don't know. But any questions, call over there, and they can help you with that. So they have their own very specific forms, except for our waiver form.
Do you do a questionnaire on our children, just to kind of learn a little bit about their learning style? My son has an IEP because he has an auditory processing delay, so he's a visual learner. So he misses pieces if he gets too much instruction. He just needs somebody to show him sometimes. So I just don't know if you collect data like that.
Yes, typically we do. I'm going to say a couple things. One, at a minimum, feel free to email me. Anything you want to tell me.
Okay.
And we'll get it to the correct teacher, as well as I'll get
Because
it.
he's very shy and very nervous, and he won't always raise his hand. He'll look like he's getting it, but he's not getting it because he just misses pieces sometimes.
The good news is that pretty much everything we do is whole body learning. So we do all of it.
Okay.
So they typically will see it, hear it, touch it,
Okay.
and have examples and be doing it in front of us. So chances are he should do in the program just the way it's set up, because our goal is to be, to do, because one of the things I wondered about, about the school system is why not, if we know that certain children benefit from whole body learning, why not do it for everybody? I think everyone benefits from whole body learning. Why just say, oh, well, unless your child has an IEP or something, that they get that, they're concerned
He's still
about.
looking at all supports, so totally agree.
Yes, ma'am.
So with the activities that they do, is it, is there any rating, like, oh, write me a paragraph about how you feel about this, or whatever? I'm just wondering how the activities are.
Hot off the press. I have course session B. Now, for those of you who are wondering, oh, I signed up for A and she's not holding it up, that's because it's still not totally done. Nothing like working to the last minute. Okay, so bear with me if you don't get your emails answered immediately or phone calls answered immediately or anything like that, because, enough said there. Okay, so let's take a look. This is part of the visual, so they get pretty much everything in visual in the book, as well as there's little movies and slideshows for a lot of the things. The activities are usually, for the most part, the up and doing stuff. Now, you will see like on this page that this does look like there's some writing. But this is a brainstorming session that they as a group will be doing and put it on the board, and then they can transfer it over onto their sheet if they want to. For those that are uncomfortable writing, there are times where we'll offer that somebody who's quick at writing and likes to write during break or something can write it for them. This is not supposed to be torturous. This is supposed to be fun. So, yes, there is minimal writing, no paragraphs. The only time, I think actually in session B, we do have, let's say, for example, ink it. So they're learning they learn, for example, with ink it, that when they have a thought that's really spinning around in their head, and it just doesn't want to go away, that's a great time to use ink it. So that is an invitation to write if they want. And they'll get a little journal kind of thing where they can write in it. We also have, we showed them another way, which is the triple column technique. And then they may also have a gratitude log. So there's several ways they can do ink it. So that's the extent of the writing kind of thing. Okay? But most of the activities they're up and moving, or there's a craft, or there's just stuff. Which reminds me, parents are always welcome to sit and watch. We do have an open door policy that way. So I can say for the 2 weeks that we're doing it through Parks and Recs, you cannot volunteer unless you have had a background check. But you can, I say, that you can sit in the room. You just can't be alone with the kids, that kind of thing. Make sense? Okay. All right. Any more questions about that? So I do have this here if anyone wanted to glance at that. I don't know, for fun bit. Okay. What else? Drop off. We are in school buildings. Please park and bring your child inside and sign them in. And if you get there about 10 minutes early, then it's enough time for everyone to do the signing, and we can get started on time. Okay? The good news is we have an activity that's a sit-down coloring, I can't even say writing because that's not true, but arts and crafts, something that keeps them busy until like 20 minutes into it, so that everyone will hopefully be there by then before we start doing like more of a group activity or something. But they are beneficial activities. Okay. Pick up, the same, please park, come get your child, sign them out. Please be on time. Please, please, please. Thank you. What else? Food. Yes, ma'am.
It's 9 to 4, right?
9 to 4.
9 to 4.
Every location this year is 9 to 4. Okay, and you will get a letter, an email from us probably about a week or so in advance, where you'll be told what room number we'll be in, and then for those that are at St. John's Parish High School, we'll have a map of the campus and where to park and where to drive and all that fun stuff. Okay. Oh, back to your question, which is asking about specific things. This year, I've chosen not to do it because I just feel like I'm really swamped, but I would be happy to hear from anyone and everyone. And what else? There's something else I wanted to say about that in my opinion. I can't remember. Yeah. All right. Maybe I'll come back to you later. Oh, not coming. Okay. Food. Please, please, please do not bring anything with nuts. Peanut butter, nuts. I know some of you, the kids only like peanut butter sandwiches. please start weaning them onto something. Wean them off of it, onto, find something else, because they're just, we're not, well, actually, if you're at St. John's Parish, they're a free, peanut-free environment. You couldn't even if you wanted to. But we typically do have somebody who's allergic, and none of us want our kids to go through that trauma. So thanks for that. Okay. On Monday, remember, if you haven't done the forms already, people out there on Video Land, please make sure you bring them, because your child can't do the program without it. If you're a session, see if I get this right, session B, if you have any socks, we will be doing sock puppets. White usually works better because the eyes and the mouth and all kind of show up a little better on white socks. I found that the kid size socks typically work better than adult. But if you can bring extras, just in case people that didn't remember, didn't bring, appreciate it. For those that are session A, you can bring an empty paper towel roll. They turn into our ant smashers, which I think this time we're going to be doing ant wands, because we're going to do a little bit more of state changes. So we're changing it up a little bit. It should be really cool.
You said empty paper towel roll?
Yeah. Okay. What else? Everybody. It's real helpful if your kid, we didn't have this one here, Michelle, you might want to add this. And I had to have it on here so if we could. A little backpack, so they can just have all their stuff. It's just like their locker, so to speak. So that way they can bring like a little sweater or sweatshirt, because these rooms sometimes are chilly. And what else can they bring? Let's see what we got here. Water bottle. Their course book. We might end up, in the past, I think last year we ended up just holding on to them. That way we're ensured that they stay safe. It's nice to send them home because then the kids can teach their parents what they learned. Yet we found out that after a full day of this, the parents want to have fun with their kids, and the kids really probably need some time. So I think we'll just probably keep that. What else can go in that backpack? Oh, we have a reward system. We believe, this kind of follows PBIS. Anyone familiar with PBIS? Positive Integration Behavioral Support? Okay, it follows that model. And so the idea behind it, in our words, is that we believe that the children should own their behavior. And that they, again, choices. They can choose to follow the rules, the camp rules, and they earn what we have as a card. And then there are times they can cash their card for prizes. And they're told they can only take prizes that their parents allow them to have. Okay? So that invites them to follow the camp rules. So why did I bring all this up? Oh, they can accumulate the cards to then cash for prizes. So, but they have to, we also believe in children helping them to be responsible, which means that it's their job to hang on to their cards. If they lose their cards, then that's the consequences of not hanging on to them. So if they have a backpack, they can put it in their backpack, they can zip it up, they're good to go, right? And they shouldn't have a problem with losing their cards. We do have 2 breaks as well as a lunch. So if your child likes to nibble, they can nibble for each one of the breaks. So feel free to have some snacks besides the main course. And lots of drinks, or just a water bottle that they can keep refilling, because the kids do get thirsty. Okay. Friday, we have an open house / closing ceremony. It's the last 2 hours, from 2 to 4 p.m. You all are invited. And the kids will be doing a lot of cool things. They'll be creating and directing and producing and acting in their own skits. They will be doing some sort of presentation where they'll be teaching a topic. They will be also then leading a game, teaching and leading a game, that activity that relates to that topic. So you guys will get a taste through your leaders, Smashing Ants as well as leadership. You won't get all of it, but you'll get a nice little taste. Then we'll have some refreshments. If you have some issues with refreshments, dietary restrictions, please feel free to bring whatever you'd like to bring, contribute. Typically, to be honest with you, what's quick and easy for me is to do a thing of brownies and do a thing of popcorn. and a thing of carrots and a drink. So if those things don't sound interesting to you, feel free to bring something additional. Fair enough? Yeah? Okay, good. Okay, yes,
I
ma'am?
think there's 1 week and 2 week
Mhm.
sessions, is that for each?
Mhm. Because each one is a standalone as well, and that way you'll get a taste of both. You'll see different ants and ant smashers, you'll see different leadership topics and activities. Okay, guess what? I think I finished all the dry stuff. So I'm happy to go back to talking a little bit more about ants, leadership, and parenting tips, if that's of interest to you guys. Okay. Everyone having as much fun as I am?
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the class capacity or range of kids?
Okay, that's a good question. Basically, what we max out about 14 in a group. So if we have 28, for example, signed up right now, and one of them we have 27. So we'll have about 14 in each. And in each one we'll have one, ooh, how did I miss talking about that? I missed that topic. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Oh, I missed that one too. Okay, all right. So in each room, we'll have one leader, which is someone who has been trained by me for quite a while. And, hi, come on in. That's okay, we're taping it so you can see the beginning, what you've missed on YouTube if you would like. Okay, we'll have one leader that has been doing the program for about 2 years now, right? After school program as well as camp. And as well as continuously trained throughout the year. And we will also have one assistant. So of those 14 kids, and that's max. So that would be a 1-to-7 ratio, which I'm sure is much better than you see at any other camp, for sure. And the assistant typically is a college student or adult. I think in one of them, one of our teachers is having her daughter. So she's a little younger. I think she's in high school. But we will have two in the other room. And we're separating them by age. So let me chat with you guys a little bit about that, because that's, and I say age, it's really great, because that's a little bit more of a, sometimes a sticky topic. So in the past, actually, I used to do all ages together. Because personally, I like it that way. Because we learn, because in this world, we live in a world of diversity. And this is about leadership, personal leadership as well as group dynamics and leadership. And so I think it gives everyone a lot of practice. So if you're younger, you learn a lot by having older people and having some role models. If you're older, you have a great opportunity to help and younger people. And I'll tell you something else, in the workforce, there's all people of all ages, and not only that, but also a lot of different abilities, which you can kind of see as comparable to different ages. And the most successful groups in the business world are ones that know how to get along with people that might not be as sharp, or you might not be as quick to catch one as other people. And so that dynamics that comes with age, I think, presents a lot of great opportunities to practice what we're learning in Smashing Ants and Leadership with that diverse grouping. Yet, parents seem to, a lot of them, or some of them, really want us to separate by age. So we do. But it still might be a wide range. So I'm gonna tell you that we take how many kids we have, we try to split it down the middle, and however the age is then still, there still might be a wide range. However it falls out is how it falls out. But I can tell you that we do ask, as well as keep an eye on kids that might fall into a group but not really fit in that group. So if we've had a child that was in the older group and was really young for her age and her personality. And she preferred to be with the younger kids. And it was obvious that she would benefit from being with the younger kids. So we asked her, she wanted, yay, so she went on. And the same with the other. We've had some younger kids that are very mature, take life a little seriously, and would prefer to be with the older kids, yet might fall in the other kids' grade. Well, we see that going on, we ask the child, if the child wants to do it, we switch them. So we typically do that on the first day after after the first chunk of time, we have a pretty good feel of how we need to adjust.
So what's the high low of the possibilities?
Going into second grade to going into 8th grade. And so typically it splits about 4th grade. So we may randomly take half the 4th graders up and half the 4th graders down. We might take all the 4th graders, put it on one, and then the classes aren't size-wise balanced, but again, we can then sift through the 4th graders once we get a better feel. If you have a preference, feel free to email me, and we'll see what we can do to ensure that your child ends up with your preference. Okay? It's not carved in stone. All right? Okay. What else do I want to say? Facilitators. Another thing about the facilitators is that they're raised as best we can. They're not raised. They're raised on the opposite. They are trained as best we can with no shame, no blame, no fear, parenting style, and dragging the kids style. Okay? So, because I have a very strong belief that kids can be very successful and have high self-esteem, both, and be self-motivated under that premise of not shaming them, not blaming them, and not fearing them into, punishing them into behaving. And so to me, I have a whole different parenting style that I've been coaching for quite some time and has had huge results. Not small, not okay, not good, huge. And I think it makes a huge difference. So I feel pretty passionately about that particular style. So if anyone has any questions with me about that, I'd be happy to go into more detail. Yet at this point, I think I'll just kind of leave it at that. You guys kind of have a picture of what I'm talking about? Now, I'm not going to say that we're perfect, because I know, at least I'll talk for myself, I was not raised that way. So I can't say that I'm perfect with it, yet that is my goal and that's what we strive for. So accidents do happen once in a while, fear sets in, oh my God, the kid's running out of the classroom. It doesn't typically happen, but, something I go, and then I might actually be louder than I would hope to be or something like that. So bear with us if we're not perfect, but that is our goal, okay? What else can I say about that? That's it about that, okay. Safety. One of the things I think your children, for the most part, will notice, and again, it doesn't happen, it's not that it's perfect, but much more so than any other camp or school that your kids go to, is that our number one thing is respect. That everyone is talked to and treated respectfully. So if we hear someone who's not, we won't just pass them, because that's number one. We'll remind them that a class rule is respect. Can you please rephrase what you were trying to say respectfully? And if they choose, because, you know, hey, we're not used to talking respectfully. It's not gonna, you know, so we're not gonna just not get the card every time a child's not respectful. But we do give them that, we give them the reminder and then the choice. And if they choose to rephrase respectfully, then fine. If they choose not to, that is also fine. But they've also chosen not to earn the prize. Okay? So we do our best that it's a lot of respect, cooperation, collaboration, team. And the kids typically have a really good time, partially because of that, and just in itself. Because it feels good to be there, because everyone is, you know, we talk about inclusion and all those kinds of things. So, to us, when we talk about safety, which is our big thing, we're talking emotional safety as well as physical safety, as well as the rooms and people's stuff. Safety, you know, that we respect people's property, people themselves, ourselves, and that we're not doing anything that could harm ourselves or others.
Will we receive any feedback from you at the end of the week about things that our kids might have particularly struggled with or overcome, or things that we might want to pay more attention to?
That's a good question, because typically we get feedback from you guys and from the kids. And it's a little harder, I can say, with camp, because we have your kids much longer than you do. It's like when we do it in an after-school program, the parents, you know, we have the kids for an hour, then the kids come home, and the parents can go after that first hour, oh my gosh, now my kid's, you know, behaving differently. Yet, when it's a full day, and then you only see them for a little bit, it is harder, that is true. But typically we don't, because we're just so busy that I don't think that the teachers have the time. But that might be an interesting thing for the assistants to do, with help from the teacher. So we'll see what we can do about that. I can tell you that if you want to talk to us about your child or ask any questions, my preference is that we do it privately, that we do not do it in front of the child, and that we have somebody watching the rest of the kids, and then we go out in the hallway and we talk privately. Unless you want it to be a three-way conversation where your child's included in the conversation. But I don't want to talk about the child in front of the child, because I mean, that goes right into shaming, which is not what we're about. Okay? So if you do have a question along those lines, stay late, and we can, you know, have somebody watch your child, and we can have a little bit of that discussion. Okay? Anything else along those lines? Safety? Again, accidents do happen. I can't tell you that some, you know, kids don't run and end up colliding their heads together somehow. You know, doesn't happen once, but you know, things happen. Kids' life happens.
If that communication piece can't happen at pickup for whatever reason, can we email you or call you? And what is the...
Yeah, that's really challenging, because it's hard for what I would, if I were you guys, I would put on who my child can be dismissed to. Put all the people you think it might be. Is that what you were asking, or I misunderstood the question?
Well, I was asking about, was following up on your question about getting feedback on our kids, and you were suggesting that maybe at pickup, we could have a discussion, and the kid goes into the room, and we just have a conversation with you or with the teacher, whoever the appropriate
Yes.
person is. And I'm wondering if that doesn't work, you know, maybe when, you know, we gotta rush them off to swim team practice.
Oh,
or,
I
you
know what
there's
you're
just
saying
things
now.
that
Okay.
prevent us from doing that, if there's another way to have that communication, either
Yes.
email with the teacher, or if there's a
Yes.
phone number we can call.
Yes,
at
you
that
can.
time.
Yes, you can email. But do know that the week is tight for the teachers.
Right.
It's pretty tiring. So unless it's, you know, really important. I mean, we will have the open house at the end, And while everyone's eating snacks, might be a good time to chat. That's another option. And, you raising your hand? No, okay. What did I think you were asking?
I thought I was asking about who can pick up the kids.
Right. There's something in between that, gone, that's one thing. Okay. When I go to bed at night, boy, am I gonna get flooded with all kinds of neat things that I like, oh, I meant to say that, but okay. Anyway, yeah, but, so let me, yeah, pick up. We do need the person or people that can pick up. And, oh yeah, it is hard to reach us. Because a lot of these buildings do not receive cell. So, oh, and that was the other one. If somebody gets hurt, so I'm gonna tell you that part too, in case I forget. What was I about to say? You can remind me. Okay, so, I have noticed text messages are more apt to go through than cell messages. Than cell phone calls. So if you call and you don't get through, or we can't get outside, you can leave a voicemail, we take a break, we'll check voicemails. And then the other is text us, and we're more apt to be able to respond that way. And of course, those are for like limited emergency kind of things. Speaking of emergency, that's what it was. If your child, there's an incident, if we feel like it's, like I said, the two kids knocked heads, we will call you and let you know what we know what happened, and then we'll also have you talk with your child, so you'll hear your child's perspective of what happened, and then we look to you to say, you know what, I'm going to come by and see how my child's doing, or I'm going to come by and I'm going to pick my child up, or my child's fine, thank you for letting us know. But we put the ball back into your court for you to decide how you want us to handle anything that makes us the slightest bit uncomfortable. If it's a little boo-boo and we put a Band-Aid on it and everybody's fine, that's fine. But we're going to try to err on the side of calling you than not calling you. Okay? Okay. So now I think I cleared up all those things that are in my head. How am I doing on time? So it's an hour. Okay. All right. So now I do think I really got all the administrative stuff. So if anyone's in a hurry and would like to go because they got what they felt is the meat of the logistics, and it's been an hour, you are more than welcome. You will not hurt my feelings if you would like to go. And for those that would like to hear me go on about some more of what I think are more fun things, which are talking about ants, a little bit more about ants and ant smashing and parenting tips a little bit. Feel free to hang around and I'll keep going. Okay? Okay, does anyone need to get up and stretch for a minute? Yeah, let's just do that. Yeah, if you want, you can just leave it there face down. So if anyone wants to just get up and stretch for a minute, and that way.
Or this whole idea of.
Yeah, it evolved. If you would have asked me like 15 years ago or something, can you see yourself doing something along these lines? I'm like, no, are you kidding me?
What's your background?
Okay, so I started out actually like in business, and my degree was in human resources, so it was all the personal management type of things. And I also took a lot of courses and learned a lot with parenting and self-development, as well as a manager, conflict resolution, and all the people skills from a management leadership perspective as well. And so in my desire to be the best me I could be, as well as the best parent I could be, I just learned everything I could possibly learn. So that's how it started out. And it's, when you go on a spiritual journey instead of a, career journey, Sometimes you find yourself not, in different places than you would expect. And I started out by actually teaching Smashing Ants to parents, actually parenting classes. And I was teaching parents how to teach their kids how to smash ants. And the parents were like, wow, this is really cool. Will you teach my kids? And I was like, well, I haven't given it much thought, And eventually, after hearing it enough, I did a small class. And from that, it just grew and snowballed into what it is today. And so that's kind of the short of it, but it's been a bit of a spiritual journey for me. Okay. Back to ants a little bit. I should have said this before the other people left, but you guys will get the hang of this. This is one thing I really should have said at the very beginning. Oh well. Ant smashing works best when we talk to ourselves about ant smashing. It does not work well when somebody else tries to smash your ants for you. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a situation when you were feeling really lousy about something, and somebody came up to you and said, oh, don't worry about it, it's okay. Right, don't, come on, just get yourself in a good mood. Get out of that bad mood. Or no, lots of people like you, or, oh, that's not a big deal, don't worry about it. Any of those things. How do you feel? Right? Okay. So, I could go a whole big parenting thing on just that, but I'll give you the in a nutshell version, which is, I'm really impressed that you guys are sending your kids to this program so that they can learn how to smash their own ants. Because that's what works, not you trying to smash them for them. Okay? So, and ants come about from emotions being high. Someone's feeling really passionate, full of emotions, be it sad, angry, right, frustrated, feeling like it's not fair, whatever, right? And when emotions are high, guess where logic is? Right? So being logical doesn't work. Guess what happens to kids' ears when they get all emotional? They fall off. So they're sitting there on the floor right there. And so anything logical you might have to say, kids can't hear it, their ears are on the floor. So if you want your children to hear, there's a process that helps the ears to bounce right back on. Okay? And I'll share with you what that is. When emotions are high, what a person needs is acknowledgement or empathy. Yeah, I know how you feel. Wow, I can tell how angry you are. I can see how much this situation is hurting you. You're not saying the person's right or wrong. You're just acknowledging them. Ah, thank you. Okay? So when a person feels like they've been heard and acknowledged, then they're like, ah, thank you so much. And guess what then happens? They start trying to solve the problem themselves, or try to pick themselves up or dust themselves off themselves. And who do you think your kids listen to more so? What you're trying to teach them or what's going on in their head? What's going on in their head? So if what's going on in their head is, oh, I know how to solve this. I can use this ant smasher, right? I don't want to feel lousy, because I say to the kids, hey, look, if you want to feel lousy, it's okay. If you don't want to smash your ants, that's okay, and you can feel lousy. That really is your choice. Sometimes we might need to feel lousy for a little bit, or for a while. But if, on the other hand, you want to feel good, you have a strategy to do it. So the good news is you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be Johnny on the spot. Kids learn and grow and do so much better when the parents step back a little bit, and they more like lead. They're like the leader than the manager. Do this, do that, don't do this, do that, da-da-da. You know, the more that the parents can say, you know, this is the structure, let the kids manage within that box, figure it out themselves, deal with it themselves, have the natural consequences, whatever themselves, the more the child will learn and grow and make wiser decisions and feel good that, hey, I fixed it. So, when a child is full of ants, it is not the time to say the opposite and try to smash it for them. Oh, it is too fair. You had just as many turns as the other person. I don't want to hear that. Okay, now, there is a time where that once they feel acknowledged, the ears grow back, then later on when they're feeling okay, then you can have a conversation with them. Wow, you seemed really upset the other day or an hour ago, whatever. Would you like to talk about it? And then you might be able to have a logical conversation because the child's not in an emotional state. Make sense? Okay, so that's my big thing about ants. The kids learn a lot about what is an ant, what's not an ant. Self-awareness. They start learning to what's that feeling they get inside, and that's their early warning signal. They learn also to start listening to themselves, sit above themselves, hearing what they're saying, because it's ants, you know, that chatter that goes on in our head, we really don't notice it, kind of like breathing. It's like you automatically breathe, you don't think about it, but if I start talking about noticing your breath, and I say breathe in, and I say breathe out, then you're controlling your breath, and you're paying attention to your breath, you're aware of your breath. It's the same thing with thoughts. So the biggest thing and the first thing to do is just help kids to just even notice that that chatter's going on. And so they learn about that kind of thing. They learn the chain reaction, thoughts, feelings, action, results, feedback to thoughts. So they learn a lot of really cool things, as well as a bunch of different ants and ant smashers. To name a few, I think I talked about the embarrassed ant and wrap it, unfair ant, spin it, can't ant, can it, maxi, mini ant, scope it. All except one, ant smasher ends in the word it. That's why you see the word it, because it's like smash it. So they all end in it. Except for, thanks to Michelle, for the blame victim ant, we wanted them to step up. Right? But it sounded funny, step up it.
I couldn't say it.
It's
just
so, and I worked really hard at getting, finally being able to say it. But, so we switched it to step it up, which is really what it should be. So there's an exception to every rule, and that's it. Okay. Leadership. I think I talked a bunch about leadership already. Some of the topics: communication skills, decision-making, presentation skills, leading and teaching, teamwork, that kind of thing. Getting and going along to get along. Assertiveness, this is aggressive, passive-aggressive, little pieces of all that kind of fun stuff. Okay, parenting tips. Some of these are not. A lot of them might be obvious to you, yet it's always nice to hear and get that friendly reminder. And I'm going to say one of the biggest ones is modeling the behavior you want to see. So if you're saying to your kids, don't do that, I don't want you to do that anymore, then don't be surprised if your kids start talking like that. And when they get older and they're rolling their eyes and they're being sarcastic and everything else, a lot of times that's where it stems from. Yet if you choose to talk respectfully to your child and model the tone of voice and mannerisms of respect, you will be more apt to be building a very wonderful relationship with your child or children, as well as modeling a wonderful way to talk. So we'll do a lot of it inside in our week, but we only get them for a week or two. You guys get it for the rest of your lives. So guess where the biggest impact's going to be? you guys. So, even if it's something helping them with a math problem, if you're standing over them like this, and you're telling them, okay, this is what da-da-da-da-da, guess how that feels? Versus if you were sitting on the ground. No. But sitting down with them and going, okay, so let me see what that looks like. Now, how does that feel? Can you feel the difference? We talk about that a bunch. How does it feel? How does it feel when we're doing it, as well as how does it feel when you're receiving that? Okay, so that's a biggie, believe it or not. Tone of voice, facial expression, word choices, body language, all of that makes a big difference. You will get more through with that than you will with fear. You do that again, and because you know what happens with fear? They just get really smart at how not to get caught. Or they're scared, and then they're afraid to do all the things, adventurous things that they have to do in life, like eventually learning how to drive, or going to high school, whatever. You know, all those new things, go to college on their own. Everything in life becomes very scary instead of neat and adventurous. When I talk about talking to kids respectfully and that kind of thing, I have this little model, and you can see if you can picture this with me. Maybe I'll write it on here real quick. PAC, PAC. One of this is you, and this is your child. The P stands for parent, the A stands for adult, and the C stands for child. If you are coming from a place of acting like a parent, as in the old-fashioned style of parenting, guess what it brings out in your kid? The child in them. And you'll even notice this in your own relationships. If you're feeling parented, then you're the little kid inside, he's gonna come out. You ever found yourself acting like a little brat or whatever? That's because somebody's talking to you in a parent form, or you're feeling that. It's interesting, you can watch it. If your kid's acting like a little child, chances are you're behaving like that old-fashioned parent. And vice versa. If you're acting like a child, oh, I don't know what to do, da 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 da. Should we do this or should we do that? I don't know. Guess how your kid's going to act? It's going to take on that parent role. That's kind of how relationships work. Now, what's really cool though, is that if you can notice that you're either doing one of these or you're noticing your kids doing one of these, you guys as the leader of your household can choose instead to act like an adult. You don't have to answer every question, you don't have to go back and forth, you don't have to step into a power struggle. Guess what you can do instead? You can just act like an adult. And guess what that's going to bring out in your kid? Adult-like behavior. Pretty cool, huh? So just as much as the kids are going to be learning of being aware of their thoughts and their behaviors and all that kind of fun stuff, you guys too can, if you want, start thinking about your thoughts, your behaviors, your mannerisms, your everything. And think about how creative can you be to adjust your dialogue you have with your child or children to get into a state of adult and bring out that state back with your child. Or with anybody for that matter. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. All righty. I think that's as far as I'm going to go, because I can tell that you guys are like, okay. So let me tell you, I don't sit on a pedestal. I'm not perfect at this. We're all work in progresses. And we all come to different places at different times. And we've all been raised the way we've been raised, and we all know only what that's been put in front of us at this point in time. So, my goal is not for any one of you to walk away feeling like you're not a good parent, or you've done this wrong or that wrong, because it's not about right or wrong. We only know what we know at this moment in time that got us to here, right now. I'm sharing all of this with you because now, if you want, you have a choice. You can, if you want, utilize this information and make a difference from this moment on. And you guys can try it and see how it works for you. The people that I coach find it to make phenomenal differences quickly. And most of us were raised with that shame and blame and fear model. So how would you know to behave any differently unless somebody tells you, right? So it's perfectly okay for you guys to have done whatever it is you guys have done in the past, and that's okay. I just share this with you, so if you want, then you guys have choices just like the kids. If you want, you now have some new information that you can either try on or not. Okay? Because I love this stuff, because there have been times where I've fallen back and been parented the way my parents parented me, and my kids are behaving in a way that just is really not good. And at first I was like, oh my God, I teach this stuff. How could I not behave that way? Oh my God, I'm not walking my talk, I shouldn't be teaching it. All this horrible, all those ants just going just crazy. And then it's like, wait a minute, now I know for sure. So you gotta find the silver lining to all this, instead that you don't feel horrible about it. Like, now I know for sure that it's not that I'm terrific, or my kids are terrific. It's not that we're all so great or wonderful, it's that this stuff works. Because when we do it, we get the kind of results we like to see, and when we don't do it, we get the kind of results we don't want to see. And so if you're getting the kind of results you don't like, that's a friendly reminder to you, ooh, I, as a leader of this household, can now choose to behave differently. Yes, ma'am.
Did you know all this stuff before you had kids?
Absolutely not.
I was gonna say, we're doing pretty good.
No, but I did learn about rivalry before I had 2 kids. And I was starting to learn it when I was pregnant. So my goal was to be the best parent. So it was in that range that my first child was here to 2 years old. In that range is when I did a lot of the bulk of it, and then I did more and more throughout, needless to say. I kept it going, but that's kind of when I started, I should say. And so anyway. Any other question? Okay.
Do you still offer the courses for parents at all? Or have you just switched over to just after school and summer sessions for children?
All right, guys. This is the challenge I have. Whenever I do an after-school program or a camp, there's a group of people that want me to teach them smashing ants and or parenting. And it is definitely more economical to learn it as a group than it is to do one-on-one coaching. I mean, there's tremendous benefit to one-on-one coaching, don't get me wrong, because we're very isolated, very tailored discussions. Yet, so if there's enough people that want it, and we can come up with a price point that works for everybody, including me, I will run one. There's a location that we can use that's pretty centrally located. We can also put it on the net for those that would prefer to take the classes, kind of telecommute, telelearn, so that we can videotape it and put it out there for those that sign on up for it that way. Yet, I'm gonna ask you, if you're interested, how many weeks would you like it? How often would you like it? Let's come up with something, because when I put it out there and in an email, it just doesn't turn out to be the same. So, there's a handful of you that are here right now. How many of you would like to continue this? 1, 2,
Depending on the price.
4, 5. Okay, and that's fair enough.
Right.
Okay, so what would you guys find to be, well, let's say how often? Well, that would be the next question. Would you want it once a week, once a month? I mean,
What's the best way to absorb the material? Is it 3 hours on a Saturday blast, or is it once a week? What's the breadth of the material, the volume of material?
I guess you're the best person to tell us
Yes.
how to.
What's the best way for you to
How
offer
we
it?
come up with
Yes.
a solution, yeah.
very true, and I so appreciate you guys honoring me that way. I can also tell you though, if we do it in a way that doesn't fit everyone's schedule, then it won't happen either though. So again, that's wonderful, respect those both ways, and that's the, to me, parenting style. So what I can answer that question, and I think once a week for an hour and a half, because I can go one, as you can tell, is a nice way to do it, because then what happens is I talk about it, some of it sinks in, some of it doesn't, some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. We plant some seeds, and then throughout the week, it's like, oh yeah, that's what she's talking about. Oh, I caught myself doing that. I mean, I was just reading a book the other day about sarcasm. I said, I'm never sarcastic anymore, blah, 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 blah. And then just that day, guess what happened? Yeah, I caught myself being sarcastic. Like, with my husband, of course. I was just like, oh, okay, all right. So much for that. So that's what's nice about doing it once a week, is that it has a chance to settle instead of boom, 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 and then that's it. And then you can't come up with your questions, and all that other fun stuff.
So if it was once a week,
Mhm.
how many weeks would it take to cover material?
We could go on forever. To be honest with you, because it's not, yet, we could also, I can pick a few topics and, I can break it down to a manageable piece, and then there can be another one, and then, and that kind of thing. So, is this summer a time period that would work for you guys?
Just depends when, because
Okay,
we're
so,
kind of gone one moment and then we're home for weeks
right.
and then we're.
And that would be the good news about taping it, so that even if we picked that we were doing it for once a week for 5 weeks, whatever, then if you miss one, you can just get the video. Yes, ma'am?
Maybe if you're interested, you could put a star next to your name or indicate on the list that was passed around earlier.
Right,
Um,
right, or I was just gonna say, just pass another piece of paper around for you to, so that you don't have to look for your name, whichever you.
And do you envision it being like ongoing topics, or kind of in capsule, like each night might be 1 or 2 topics, boom, and then the next week, 1 or 2 topics?
Right. What I was envisioning, there's a lot of ways I could go about it. One is I can give you my, what I think about when I think about this parenting style, which I refer to as proactive parenting. So the first week could be me really giving you guys a visual of proactive parenting. And then I can mention some additional topics. And then you guys can, pick what topics you would like us to dive into next, that kind of thing. As for the cost, my preference is for it to be like $20 per hour. So if it's 1 hour, then it's $20. If it's, 2 hours, 40, hour and a half, 30, that kind of thing. And for each, you know, figure that, do the math from there. Is that something that people find to be acceptable? Yeah? Okay, so what I can do, would you want me to just pass this back around?
That's better.
New separate sheet?
Either is,
All right, then pass the sheet around.
On that sheet, it just has our child's name.
Oh, that's right, okay, so
We
good
are.
point. Okay, so put your name, put your email address, please, name, email address, and I'm gonna ask you now, how many people like Monday? How many people like Tuesday? How many people like Wednesday? How many people like Thursday? How many people like Friday? Okay, so I didn't see that many here. So,
I was just gonna toss it, I have a strong preference for the fall, just to lay that out there. I mean, I'll see what everybody does.
yeah, somebody's gonna be
and-
kind of,
Yeah, I just.
1 week we're in, 1 week out.
Exactly. I can't even keep it straight, so to add something in.
and that's the challenge also, because some people like the fall, and we can do one in the fall. Some people like want to have it while their kids are taking it.
Sure.
You know, my kids are taking it now, I want to take it now. So,
Can I ask,
Yeah.
what's the minimum number of participants?
I would like at least 10. And if you have friends, you have neighbors,
Question. Have you found that it's important to have the spouses, both the mother and father present, or, because I'm thinking I'd like my husband to come too.
yeah.
If they can't make it, they can just watch the video.
Right. But I know that
Watch
there's a
together.
childcare issue too, if the spouse is at home
Right.
with the children.
Right. There isn't a good answer for that. My preference is always that both parents learn, yet I know that the plausibility of that is another story. I know my husband wasn't all over this stuff initially, and so I just did it. I just modeled it, and he was liking the results. And then he would ask me questions, and the next thing you know, he was having me teaching things, he was reading books, he was learning, you know, and he got into it because it worked so well. So you can be the role model if your spouse, you know, you don't have to force it on your spouse. If you don't, you know, your spouse isn't interested, and yet if your spouse is, that's great. Because the more the whole family, I can tell you, my kids are now 21 and 24, and they are very kind, respectful, comfortable with themselves, doing well, and they both have careers.
Leaders.
What?
Leaders?
Sort of not. Sort of not. Michelle, you've seen my kids. What do you think?
They're great. Yeah, of course I'm going to say that. No, no, they really are. They're, yeah, really nice guys.
They really are impressive, and the parents help us make a difference. We did not go through the teenage years where they hated us. Not to say they didn't do some things where you were like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Because they did. But we got closer instead of further apart, and they opened up to us more, and we were there for that, and we helped them through those trying, testing the water stages, instead of them trusting their friends instead. So they came to us with their issues, their situations, and we were there to help them, which is what we wanted. And they were honest with us about the situations instead of lying and stinking and everything. And they lived to, they survived it, thank you. Okay, if there's a day of the week that doesn't work for you, I guess you could put that on there also, or you can email me if you change your mind or anything, either way, because I'm gonna say my goodbyes, and I'm gonna chop this part off, probably. But I do this really as a service, because I'm so passionate about parenting. When you were asking the thing I'm most passionate about, it's parenting, because I think
May I
it's the
have your
biggest-
attention, please? The Miller branch will close in 24 minutes at 9 p.m. If you need to arrange for a ride home, please ask a staff member for assistance.
Okay, so yeah, I think the biggest change in the family, and the kids getting along, and the family enjoying their vacations, everything, is the parents and stuff. And it really, initially, it might seem hard, but in no time at all, I think you'll find it easier than harder. And as they get older, they get easier. Instead of the other way around. Oh, my kids were so easy at first. Like, they told them what to do and they did it. Because they knew they were going to be in big trouble if they didn't. And then they get, into middle school and or high school or college, and oh my gosh. So, anyway, yeah, I just, my heart just feels like this whole world would be a different place. If, I don't know why we're not taught it, We're taught how to give birth, but we're not taught how to raise them. And I think that's sad because so many parents are struggling with feeling cornered and not knowing what to do. And there is a way. It doesn't have to be that hard. It's hard, but it doesn't have to be that hard. So anyway, I thank all of you for coming out tonight. And I hope that you gained a lot about about the summer program, as well as a little bit about supporting your child with ants and leadership. And thank you guys for getting onto YouTube and watching it as well. And yes, ma'am?
How soon will that be on YouTube?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I can make my
We'll do what we can to get it out sooner than later. And the same with, I'll be revising my notes to make it somewhat readable, but I'm going to tell you it will be somewhat in bullet form, but you'll have the key points as well written, because again, we're all different kinds of learners, so you can get the auditory, the visual, and the hard copy, and aesthetic, all that kind of neat stuff. Okay, thank you guys again.
Do the chairs need to go back on?
That is so, yes, absolutely do, so I so appreciate it, you doing that for us. Thank you guys.